Hello everyone. Today we'll discuss about a very important chapter, quadratic equation, which is very important for the 10th grade students. So dear students, please have a look and please concentrate on the concept which will be delivered here, and please take a copy and pen so that you can note all the important things. So quadratic equation is a equation in which the power of the variables is 2. The power of the variable is 2, or you can say the highest power of this equation is 2, that is degree is 2. So an equation whose highest power is 2, then this type of equation is known as quadratic equation. Now this is the standard form of quadratic equation. Okay, now see, standard form of quadratic equation is ax² plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now this a is coefficient of x², this b is coefficients of x, and this c is free from variables, that is constant. Okay, now so this is quadratic equation. Now degree is 2, which implies that there will be 2 zeros. Okay, there will be 2 zeros. Now what do you mean by zeros? What do you mean by zeros? All the real values of all the real values of x for which the whole quadratic equation will be 0. For example, suppose fx is equal to x² plus 2x minus 3. This is a quadratic equation. Now suppose you need to find out the zeros of this quadratic equation. So you need to have that real values of x for which this whole quadratic equation will become 0. So you need to find out the value of that real values of x for which this quadratic equation will become 0. Now see, by trial method, if you take x is equal to 1, now say f will be f1, because in place of x you are putting 1. So square of 1, in place of x we will take x is equal to 1. So you'll get square of 1 is 1, 2 times 1 is 2, minus 3. So you're getting 3 minus 3. which is equal to 0. So f1 is equal to 0. This implies that x is equal to 1 is a 0 of fx. Now is there any other possibility for getting that whole expression 0? So you need to think another value. Is there any other possible value of x for which this quadratic equation or this quadratic polynomial will become 0? So for that, what you need to do, if you take x, suppose you are taking x equal to minus 3. So f of minus 3 will be minus 3 square plus 2 times minus 3 and minus 3. So you're getting 9. Square of minus 3 is 9. This one is 2 into minus 3, that is minus 6. And this is minus 3. So you're getting 9 minus 9, which is equal to again 0. That means what? X is equal to minus 3 is also a 0 of fx. Now the question is, student, is there any other possibilities of x for getting the whole polynomial, that whole quadratic polynomial will become 0? Is there any other possibility? The answer is big no. Why? Because if you go through the degree of this quadratic polynomial and you are getting that the highest power of the variable is 2, so there will be only 2 possible real values of x for which this quadratic polynomial will become 0. You can think, you can take whole day, whole weeks, whole months, or even a whole year. You cannot find the other real values of x for which these quadratic equation will become 0. So what is the conclusion from these solutions? If degree is 2, if degree is equal to 2, zeros will be 2. If degree will be 3, if degree is 3, zeros will be 3. This implies that degree is equal to number of zeros, number of zeros. Okay, now let us consider a quadratic equation is of the form ax plus b plus c is equal to 0, and since degree is 2, that's why it's a quadratic equation, and degree is 2 means there will be 2 zeros only. So let that zeros be alpha and beta. Alpha and beta. Now this is equation 1. So if alpha and beta are zeros of any quadratic polynomial or quadratic equation, then the quadratic equation will be given by x square minus alpha plus beta times x plus alpha into beta is equal to 0. Now since we all know that this quadratic equation is a quadratic equation whose one zero is alpha and other one zero is beta. Now this is also a quadratic equation whose one zero is alpha and other 0 is beta. Now can we say that this quadratic equation and this one both are same? because of having same zeros. That means we can say that ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. On dividing by a both sides, so ax square by bx by a, c by a, which is equal to 0 by a. Now this a and a is cancelled, so x square, and this is b by a times x, and this is c by a, and 0 by something is equal to 0. Now can you write this equation as minus of minus times b by a times x? Why? Because we need plus b by a times x. So minus of minus will become plus b by a times x plus c by a, which is equal to 0. So this is equation 3rd. Now on comparing the equation 2, this is equation 2 and 3, what you are getting? So if you see, the quadratic equation with zeros alpha and beta is x square minus alpha plus beta times x plus alpha into beta is equal to 0. And this is same as a quadratic equation, this one, as a quadratic equation whose one 0 is alpha and other 0 is beta. So both the quadratic equations are same. So you can compare the coefficients. What do you mean by that coefficients? You can compare the coefficients of x square. So coefficients of x square will be equal to each other of both the equation. Similarly, coefficient of x will be equal to each other of both the equation, and the constant term will also be equal to each other. So what we are observing here, see, this one is the coefficient of x. So from equation 1 and 2, on comparing coefficients, we get, what we get? See, in this equation, coefficient of x is alpha plus beta, and this equation is coefficient of x is minus b by a. So alpha plus beta is equal to minus b by a. This is a star mark result, which is very important, which will be required in solving problems related to quadratic equation. Now see, this is free from variables equation. This one is free from variables. Which one? Let's see this one. So this is free from variables, alpha into beta. Okay, now see at last, this is also free from variables. So what we are getting? Constant term will also be equal to each other. That is alpha into beta is equal to c by a. So this is another one star mark result, which is very important. So if you are having any quadratic equation of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and whose one 0 is alpha and the other one 0 is beta, then you can write alpha plus beta is equal to minus b by a, and alpha into beta, which is equal to c by a. Okay. Now see, one more important discussion point. If a quadratic equation is of the form ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, and you need to draw the graph of this quadratic equation. Graph will be graph of quadratic equation will be parabola. Okay, now what do you mean by parabola? The symbol like this is a parabola, this one is a parabola. So if you draw the graph of any quadratic equation, you will find that the shape of the graph will be like this, and this shape is known as parabola. Okay, now see, important thing is, if ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, if a is positive, then the graph will be upward parabola. Now if a is negative, so graph will be downward parabola. Very important, downward parabola. Okay, so depending upon the value of or the sign of a, that is coefficient of x square, if it is positive, the graph of quadratic equation will be upward parabola, and if it is negative, the graph will be downward parabola. Okay, now see, if ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, so what, one zero is alpha and the other one is beta. Okay, now how the zeros will be for this quadratic equation? For this, we need to find out the value of d. Now what do you mean by d? D is a discriminant. Okay, and the formula of discriminant is b square minus 4ac. b square minus 4ac. Okay, this b is what? Coefficient of x. A is what? Coefficient of x square. C is what? Constant term. So we have all the informations of b square minus 4ac. That means we can find out the value of d, isn't it? Now let us consider value of d. It can have three types of value. If d is greater than 0, d can be equal to 0, or d can be less than 0. So if d is greater than 0, so this implies that roots are real and distinct. Now what do you mean by distinct? Distinct means unequal. So the roots of the quadratic equation whose d is greater than 0 will be real and distinct. Now if d is equal to 0, so roots are real and equal. Now if d is less than 0, so roots are not real. So this is the star mark of this result, this is the star mark of this result, and this is the star mark of this result. Roots are not real means imaginary roots, which we will study in our higher classes. Now let us consider graphical representation. Representation based on values of d. So this is x-axis, this is y-axis. Quadratic equation is ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0. Now first thing is a is positive and D is also positive. Now see here, D is positive means what? Roots are real and distinct. Distinct means unequal. That means we have to draw a graph whose zeros are not equal. And if A is positive, so we have discussed it before that if A is positive, the graph will be upward parabola, and if D is positive, there will be two different zeros. So this can only be possible if the graph will be like this. From A is positive, it will be upward parabola. From D positive, we can say that there are two different roots. One is if A is positive and D is equal to 0, then the graph will be, let these two lines x-axis and y-axis, representing x-axis and y-axis. So from A positive means we are concluding that the curve will be upward parabola, and if D is equal to 0, that means two zeros are real and equal. See, D equal to 0 means roots are real and equal, isn't it? So roots must be from D is equal to 0. We are concluding that roots will be equal, and if A is positive, from this information we are concluding that the graph will be upward parabola. Now how can it be shown to by the graph? If you are drawing like this, the point where this curve is touching at x-axis, at that point alpha and beta both are equal. Why both these are equal? Because see, from D it is revealed that if D is equal to 0, there will be two real roots and which are equal. So how can these roots can be equal to each other? If they will, both the points coincide with a point. That means where alpha and beta will be equal to each other. That's why the curve will touch at a point on the x-axis. Okay, now the third condition. If A is positive but D is negative. So from here what we are drawing the conclusion, x-axis, y-axis, and this one is origin. So what we are getting, if A is positive, it is revealing that the curve will be upward, and D is negative, it is revealing that there is no any real roots. See students, if there will be roots, then the curve must either it touch the curve or it can, or it, if there is a possibility of having roots, the curve must cut the x-axis either in 2 points or at a point. And if D is less than 0, that means there is no any real roots. That means there will not be any cutting and touching on the x-axis, and this is A is equal to 0, so this will be upward parabola. Getting my point? This is upward parabola. No real roots. No real roots. No real roots, because it is not touching on the x-axis. So this is the three condition of the graph of the quadratic equation depending upon the value of A and D, isn't it? Now other condition, if A is negative, now D is greater than 0. If A is negative and D is greater than 0, then what will happen? See, this is quadratic, this is axis lines, x and y axis. This one is representing origin. Now see, if D is equal to D is greater than 0, D is greater than 0 is revealing that there will be two real distinct roots, and A is negative means downward parabola. So there will be a graph like this. One root is at this point and the other one is at this point. So this is the graph of quadratic equation if they have the value of a less than 0 and d is positive. Now other one condition, if a is negative, and d is equal to 0, so this is one condition also. So let this be a origin x-axis, y-axis. So d is equal to 0 means there will be two roots which are equal, and a is less than 0 means there the curve will be downward parabola. So downward by touching. Why by touching? Because at this point the roots will be equal to each other, isn't it? Getting my point? So this is the graph of quadratic equation having this condition, a is less than 0 and d is equal to 0. Real and equal roots. Real and equal roots. Okay, and the last one is if a is less than 0 and d is also less than 0. Now drawing the curves by drawing x-axis and y-axis. This one is origin. Now see, if d is less than 0 means there is no any real roots, and if a is less than 0, that means downward parabola. So there will not be touching at any point on the x-axis, because as you will touch the axis, as you will touch the curve at the axis, you will get the zeros. But d is less than 0 is revealing that there will not be any real roots. So students, what we are concluding from all this discussion, there will be 6 possibility of the curve. What are the 6 possibility? A is positive, a is positive, a is positive. D is positive, D is equal to 0, D is less than 0. Similarly, A is negative, A is negative, A is negative. D is greater than 0, D is equal to 0, and D is less than 0. So these are the 6 possible conditions for which the graph will be different from each other. So see the nature of the graphs. If this is x-axis, we need only x-axis. See, A is positive means upward parabola, D is positive means it intersecting at 2 points, because it is revealing that the roots will be 2 and they are different from each other. So this is the graph, and roots are real and unequal, that is distinct, isn't it? So this is the information of this. Okay, now if this one A is positive, upward parabola, D is equal to 0, that means it will touch the axis, alpha is equal to beta at this point. Roots are real and equal. Now this one is A is positive upward, D is less than 0, it will not touch. So roots are imaginary, that is not real, imaginary. Okay, similarly here also x-axis less than 0, downward parabola, greater than 0, it will intersect at 2 point. So curve will be like this. This one is alpha, this one is beta. Okay, similarly here also A is negative means downward, D is equal to 0 means touching. So this is the graph. Roots are real and equal. Okay, the last one is, this is x-axis, negative, downward, less than 0, no touching. So this is the graph of the quadratic equation. Okay, no real roots. Okay, so these are the 6 possibilities of the quadratic equation having conditions a is positive and d is greater than equal to 0 or less than 0. So all these are the informations of quadratic equation. Now one more important concept: if ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0 is a quadratic equation having 1 0 alpha and the other one is beta. So you can find out both the zeros of this quadratic equation by using a single formula, one single formula, and that is what? That is x is equal to minus b plus minus root under d by 2a. This formula is known as quadratic formula. Quadratic formula. Okay, and the value of d is b square minus 4ac. The value of d is b square minus 4ac. Okay, b you'll be known to you. A is also known to you as it is a coefficient of x square, b is coefficient of x, and d you can find out by using this formula, b square minus 4ac. So from all these informations we can find out the values of this x. That means x is equal to minus b plus minus root under d by 2a. So there are two possible value. One is x is equal to minus b, first you take plus sign and then 2a, and the other one is x equal to minus b minus root d by 2a. So these two are the possible value of x. So one is you can consider alpha and the other one is you can consider beta. So this is the value of alpha, this is the value of beta. Directly you can find out the zeros of quadratic equation by using this formula. This formula is known as quadratic formula. Getting my point, students? Now you can factorize also. If a quadratic equation ax square plus bx plus c is equal to 0, simple. What you need to do, if this constant term is in plus sign, the middle term will be found by adding the factors. Understood? And if constant term is in minus sign, then the middle term will be found by subtracting the factors. Okay, this is the important concept, you need to remember it. Okay, for example, there is a question. Let us consider 2x square or simply x square minus 3x plus 5. So let us consider this is a quadratic equation. Now you need to find out the zeros of this quadratic equation by factorization method. By factorization method. Okay, we will discuss about the factorization method. Now what is factorization method? Simply factorization method, in a factorization method we need to see the sign of this constant term. Okay, just see the sign of constant term. If it is plus, the middle term can be found by adding the factors. Okay, and if it is minus, then middle term will be found by subtracting the factors. Understood? So how can you find out this value? See, this is 5x square. This is 5x square. Now you need to think about 5. What are the possible ways of getting 5? 5 ones are 5. Just only one possible way. Is there any other possible way? No. Okay. Now we'll discuss how to solve a quadratic equation by using quadratic formula. Suppose 3x square minus 6x plus 4 is equal to 0. So a is equal to 3, b is equal to minus 6 and c is equal to 4. Using quadratic formula, and what is the quadratic formula? X is equal to minus b plus minus root under d by 2a. Now what is this value? b is minus 6, so this is minus 6 plus, what is the formula of d? That is b square minus 4ac by 2 times a. Okay, so first you write the formula. Wait, first you write the formula minus b plus b square minus 4ac. This is the value of d by 2 times a. Now simply by seeing the values of a, b, c and put it here, you can find out the value of x. So minus b, that is minus times 6, plus minus root under d, that is b square, that is minus 6 square, minus 4 times a. A is what? A is 3 and c is 4. So a is 3 and c is 4. Okay, and 2 times a, that is 3. So 6 plus minus, that is 36. Okay, okay, let us consider quadratic equation. Let us consider quadratic equation 2x square minus 3x minus 4 is equal to 0. Using quadratic equation, using quadratic formula, you can find out the value of x. Plus minus root under d by 2a, isn't it? This implies that minus b plus minus root under d means b square minus 4ac by 2 times a. Now what is the value of a? This is the value of a. This is b, this is c. So this is a, this is b, isn't it? This is c. So minus times b, b means 2, plus minus 2 square, b square, minus 4 times, this is minus 4 times a is what? 2 and c is what? Minus 4. Okay, by 2 times a, that is 2. Okay, now this b is what? B is minus 3, sorry, this is b is minus 2, minus 3. B is, sorry, b is minus 2, sorry, b is minus 3. Okay, so minus 3 square, this is also minus 3b square, isn't it? Now see, 3 plus minus, this is 9, 16 to the 32 and plus by 4, this minus and this minus will become plus. Okay, so what we are getting? 3 plus minus 41 by 4. So one value is x equal to 3 plus root 41 by 2, 2 to the 4, isn't it? 2 to the 4, and the other one is x equal to 3 minus root 41 by 4. So I hope you students, you are enjoying this chapter. So this is the way of solving a quadratic equation. Just please see, and if you are liking this video, please like, share and subscribe, and wait for the next video. For that, you just subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you can get the next video at right time. Bye bye.